Good afternoon. On behalf of our team at RDIC, we would like to welcome Wayne Worrell and Kim Zimmerman. They're here this afternoon to discuss the type of work they do, the training they receive, characteristics they're looking for in candidates, career opportunities, salary expectations, and the working conditions. Just a reminder before we begin that after you watch this presentation, please complete the survey found on our website, either by using the QR code or go to www.rdic.ca. By completing the survey, you're automatically entered to win a $50 gift card, which will be drawn at the end of every month. Thanks again to Wayne and Kim for their informative presentation to help students in their quest to make a better choice about their future employment opportunities. Take it away.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Wayne Worrell, and I am the business manager and financial secretary of the Ironworkers Local 771 in Regina, Saskatchewan. Our local does cover the entire province from border to border, even up into the territories. So a little background history on the local. We've been in this province since 1956. This is actually our 65th year in this province, building the skylines around the province. Some key monument structures that we've built in the past and over the years and recently, like the Branch Center, or commonly known as the Agrodome. We had a large hand in building that facility. Mosaic Stadium in Regina and Moose Jaw. We built both of those, the football field and the rink as well. And the Twin Towers that we see in our skyline, we've had our hands on that too. We're the guys that erected those buildings as well. So just a few monumental projects that you see, but you don't realize we are the guys that are in the backbone of those projects. My job description and my duties, what do? I look after the local itself, procure employment for our membership. And I also sit on the board of directors for Sask Apprenticeship. So I do have a hand in what's going on with the local itself, with the apprenticeship and our training. But as the bigger scope of the industry, what do our stakeholders want? What do the stakeholders need? So we have our ear to the ground and we can have our finger on that pulse as well. Okay, I'd like to turn it over to Kim.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Kim Zimmerman, and I am the president and trade coordinator at Local 771 with the Ironworkers. And some of my, job description and duties is look after the apprenticeship mainly, also interview people looking for work in our trade, look after the training. So the training programs, whether it's to do with actual school and things like that, or whether it's on the safety end of things. So I want to get into skills, traits, and what we're looking for and what's best suited for the job. First off, we're going to look for people who are not afraid of heights. That's pretty much a must in our industry. And we're looking for people who want to better themselves. And when we look at constantly learning and moving forward. Excuse me. Sorry, can we?
So we want to talk about skills and traits. As Kim already had mentioned, heights is part of what we do. That's what 75% of our job, our daily job, is we do have to work at heights. That is normal. And a lot of other trades, yeah, they will tell you the same thing. They work at heights as well. But we don't get the dance floor that they would typically get. We get an 8 to 6 inch beam to sit on or stand on. That's all we get. We don't get the luxuries of scaffolding all the time. But 90% of the time, it's us walking on that beam or sitting on the iron. Skills and traits, what are we looking for? So the heights, you want individuals with hard work ethic, because they expect us to do a lot of crazy things in a short amount of time is what they're doing. So the ability to work with your hands and be able to see down the road what this piece or project is going to look like is usually a good trait to have. But the main thing is the ability to work with your hands, and you do get a reward at the end. It's not just standing on a beam, putting bolts here and there. When you're done the project, you can walk away and tell your family, your kids, whatever level you're at, is that I had a hand in that. I was able to touch that piece. I had a hand in building Mosaic Stadium or an overpass or a school. It might even be a school that your kids go to. They can say, and their kids can walk down the hallway. You know, my mom or dad worked on this school. They helped build this school. So they get the sense of pride as they go on. But personality, so you need hard work ethic because this is a labor intensive trade. Our belts probably weigh more than most people weigh. Like my belt when I was still on the tools was, I don't know, roughly 70 pounds that I had to wear on my back all day long, every day. So it is labor intensive. The steel is big. You know, I've walked down girders on the top of a boiler house at Prince Albert pulp mill. I couldn't even touch the top flange, but the bottom flange I was walking on was like a sidewalk, but I couldn't touch the top. So it just gives you a little bit of a viewpoint of how big the structures can actually get. Setting a location, you want to talk about where we're going to work. So we have various projects around the province. You were going to work on new construction. We just finished building a bunch of potash mines in this province and continually still building them. BHP has that big one coming up by Lanigan. That's only one aspect. And we have the maintenance component where we work in the potash mines to keep them running and repair them on a daily basis. We work at the steel plant. We work in the powerhouses down south. We've actually built the powerhouses down south as well. So you're going to cover from a pulp mill to working up at the uranium mines up north where you fly in. It's quite lucrative. It's fun. It's very nice up there. So you're going to cover the entire province, your province as well. That's another key trait when you're looking at or seeking information about our trade is you have to have the willingness to travel. That doesn't mean if you have a job in Prince Albert, you move to Prince Albert. You can live in Regina, wherever you live, Estevan, Weyburn, it doesn't matter. You can live wherever you want, but you will cover this province. Myself, you know, being 25 years in the trade, and Kim as well, we have covered this province, right? We're very fortunate now to have the positions that we have, so we get to stay home. But traveling is a key. So another requirement is you must have the ability to want to travel and be away from home. It could be long periods of time because it depends on the scope or the shift. It could be 21 days in, 7 days out, 14 and 7, 10 and 3. So you're gone for periods of time. And it fits some people's lifestyles, but it doesn't fit everybody, right? If we get to a point that we realize that there may be an issue with the heights or the traveling is an issue, that's fine. I've done it in the past, even when I'm the past trade coordinator, I've sat down with individuals and said, hey, if this is not working for you, what about the Boilermakers? Or what about being an electrician or to being a carpenter? I give them other avenues. We just don't nobody gets kicked to the curb. We still try to find them a place. So with that being said is just working at heights is not only what we do, but everybody, gets in the trade. At some point, you're going to go in the air. That you have to accept. It's going to happen, whether it's in a lift or you're climbing. But not every job is going to be in the air. Like when you work maintenance in a steel plant, I had the opportunity to do that myself as well. I was on the ground most of the time, other than climbing up ladders or climbing on a catwalk, but that's an everyday life. So there will be a fit, but if you don't fit the trade, I will sit down with you or Kim will sit down with you and talk to you and feel you out. And we're going to ask you tons of questions and we're going to help you find a different avenue, right? Equipment applicable, like I said, I spoke earlier, it's labor intensive. It is hard work. Like the old timers that I work for, they kept telling us, good thing you guys are young when we started the trade, roughly 19, is that it's a young man's trade at that time. So we're in the heavy belts. So equipment, we carry spuds, 4-pound hammers, lots of heavy tools. We don't carry a toolbox. We don't have little knapsacks. We wear the tools on us at all times. So it's your basic PPE, your flat-soled boots. I know a lot of sites don't like them, but for us on the iron, heels are not the greatest thing to have. So we like to feel actually what we're stepping on. Pros and cons, I just mentioned a few already. Heights could be a pro or con, depends on the individual. But some cons are you will travel and be gone from home for periods of time. When we built the drag lines for down in Estevan, that's for the open pit mining. That's those big cranes. And when you guys go down to the US, you see them in the fields. This local actually built those, put those together. I've actually worked on one myself. So that was we were supposed to work 10 and 4, and I actually worked 3 months straight. So I was gone for 3 months from my family. get the odd day here and there, or my family would come and see me, or I go home after a shift for a couple hours and come home and go back to work. So you get things like that. So that's kind of a con. Lots of pros, like I said, rewarding. You can drive around the city or the province and you can say, hey, I worked on that dam, I worked on that powerhouse, I worked on that school, I worked on that supermarket. It's very rewarding when you can relate to somebody like your grandparents, or you tell your own kids. I do that with my kids. I worked on that job, I worked on this job. I don't say I built it, but I worked on it and I had a hand in building it. Right. Kim, do you have anything to add before I carry on?
Yeah, no, just that Wayne's absolutely right. It's very rewarding. Doesn't matter where you go in this province. There's Ironworkers had a hand in most structures that are out here. All the potash mines, great places like that. But also the other rewarding part is to be able to earn and provide for your family and have a pension to work towards, things like that. And it's a trade where you're constantly learning and improving on your education. So it's good, it's challenging and fulfilling. So yeah, just to add to that.
Okay. Any other pros besides rewarding? No? Okay. Well, we're going to move into salary. So before we get into numbers, what everybody wants to know is how much do I make and how much do I get to go spend when I get back home? That's the thing. We call it the rock star lifestyle. That's not what we're about. Career, Kim already mentioned, this is a career. This isn't a job you just show up to and they're going to pay you, then you go home. This is a lifestyle and a career that we've all chosen, right? Because we see the future, because we have the benefits, because we all have children ourselves. So everybody has coverage. We have benefits. We have a pension plan. So at the end of the day, there is light at the tunnel. When we step away from the trade and look back, we have something to look forward to. And being that ourselves, and we are unionized, yes, and we worked on our collective agreement. That's actually a pro, because when you get to a job site and by talking to young individuals that come in to see us or interview with Kim, that is one of the things they ask us is like, how do we get paid and who sets the wages? Like the wages that we work to in our collective agreement are negotiated with all the contractors that are signatory. Then they proceed to tell us the story. Two guys signed up on the same day because he's buddies with this guy. He makes $2 more an hour than me. That doesn't happen. You don't have to beg, borrow, or steal. We all get paid equally. And it's based on hour increments. So when you go from level 1 to level 2, every 1,800 hours, I'm going to talk about the structural sites just easy for numbers. There is apprenticeship book. You have to track your hours. Every 1,800 hours, those increments, and along with aligning with training, you're entitled to a raise, right? So there is advancement just on hours, and there's something to look forward to. So the individuals that I talk to, they're younger people in the early 20s. Sometimes they're right out of high school, and they've already faced that where they had to negotiate themselves on the site. You shouldn't be never ever put in that position. Right. So salary, like a level 1 apprentice, just their base rate, right? Before I get into the whole package number, is roughly 25.48 to be exact, actually. That's starting from high school, a little bit of experience, your technical training, and moving forward. Now you're going to start entering into a Red Seal apprenticeship program, and now you're going to start accumulating hours to move up the chain. So remember, I talked about pension, which is a very big pro. Is every hour that individual works, they are paying into a pension plan. That's theirs. Not mine, not Kim's, not anybody else's. It's their own pension plan. They're not funding anybody else's but their own. So we also paid into a trade improvement, and which is another key aspect. We don't dangle apprenticeship carrots in front of people. Our goal is to have the best, well-trained workforce out there. And I've heard that story as well, as many young individuals come to talk and say, well, they told me they were going to send me to welding school. I said, well, how long have you been there? 5 years. I said, how long have you been dangling that carrot? Well, 3 to 4 years. Coming to this trade, and if you show the interest and you fit the criteria, school is mandatory. You have to go to trade school. Just given the nature of our job, it is dangerous. We work at heights. You need to know what you're doing. So apprenticeship and training is very high on our list. So when you come in, apprenticeship is mandatory. You don't have a choice. So there's no carrot, and we eliminate that right away. And I had two young individuals, try to call my bluff. It's like he had been waiting 5 years just to go to welding school. Within a year of him registering him, and the third year, he had already done level 1 and 2 of Ironworker school. And he phoned me, he's like, "Can I talk to you?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And he said, "Thank you. There's no carrot. You kept your word." And it's exactly what you explained to me, and what I'm explaining to you guys today is that is what it is. You told me apprenticeship was mandatory, and now I'm looking at my second year of schooling, and he's working to a red seal, and his wages are following his hour increments. So he is advancing just on hours, right? So benefits, we do have a health and welfare program as well. Everybody gets it. Everybody's entitled to it. So when you eventually get to that point, you're gonna have a family, so everybody has it. So total package for level 1 ironworker from 0 hours to $17.99, their total package would be $36.51 an hour. That's not including overtime. Overtime's on top of that. So every hour they worked, that's what the contractor pays on their behalf. I think that's a pretty nice deal, and we're currently negotiating the contract with our contractors now. For typically 3 years and going. Talk about the work hours. I did mention earlier a little bit about like certain projects have their shift rotations, you could say, is a good term to use. Could be 21 and 7 or 14 and 7. You're going to see 10 hours a day all the way up to 14 to 16. Most common is 4/10s, 5/10s, or 10 and 3, and usually you'll see about 10 hours a day. Right? Depends on the job. Like the schools, like the smaller commercial side, they like to work 8 hours a day, which is fine. But every project will be different, right? So you're going to see a variation. The educational background that we would like to see from everybody is, of course, we want to see grade 12. Of course we do. That is one of the stipulations through apprenticeship. There is provisions put in place through apprenticeship in other entities. I know SAS Poly has some stuff put in place. Is if there's any modified classes on their transcript, because we ask for their transcripts to see what's on there. We need to know, because we have to prepare ourselves when we register with apprenticeship. They're going to evaluate them, then slot them into an upgrade class or a testing to see where they're at. So we ask everybody, we need to know what's going on, and usually to look at the English and the science and the math to see where they're at. And being a construction trade that we are, math is a key component of what we do, and the understanding of the language. So that's why those two they're huge for us. You need to know and understand what's going on. If you misjudge the weight of a choker by doing a wrong math calculation, it could be fatal. What happens now? Like, we're taught to do the calculations and go above and beyond, and like over rig is what we call it. So that doesn't happen. We have to factor in safety factors, and all those things are covered in trade school, but they need the base knowledge coming out of school how to do these things, right? It just helps them advance that much quicker into their program. Opportunities for advancement, absolutely. Not only is it hour increments through the apprenticeship, like we have the structural side, we have the reinforcing side, which is only 2 years, and that's 1,400 hours per level. And also, we've just been developing the metal building system erector program as well. If you don't like the big industrial jobs or the commercial stuff, or going to doing the reinforcing, then you can look at the metal building side. Little smaller scale, less daunting, still hard work, still labor intensive. You're still going to get in the lift, get in the air, but it's not going to be hundreds of feet. Could be, maybe 80 feet. There's smaller buildings, and it's not as hustle and bustle as what we'd face on the structural side. So advancement, put it to you this way. There's absolutely advancement in the trade. We want not only hourly based, we want you to succeed. We've even gone as far in our level 3, their final year before they write their red seal. We actually run all the level 3 apprentices through a foreman course. It's not because they're going to be supervisors when they get out. And that is the hope, of course. But it's also to realize that what they do on a job site and how it affects the job site when it comes down to planning and things that we do. A lot of us, like him and myself, have been supervisors on quite a few jobs, and we understand the other side of it. When a guy blows a shift, or a worker doesn't show up, or sick, or holidays come into play, how does that affect the crew? And so you have to cover that aspect off. But it is also, there is future supervisors in those classes, and you can tell who they are. So they get an outlook what being a leader kind of looks like. They get a feel for it, because there's role plays in that that course that we throw in there. It puts them in the hot seat. It could be as simple as a toolbox talk, dealing with a disgruntled worker. things that you would face on a day-to-day basis where you're the disgruntled worker or you're the leader or the supervisor dealing with that guy. So room for advancement, absolutely. We've had members of ours start as first-year apprentices, 0 to 5,400 hours, and now they're owners. They're signatory contractors now. They did their apprenticeship, got their hours in, got their red seals, worked in the trade a little bit longer to get more experience, and now they run companies. So not only do you become a journey person, you could be a supervisor, and now they've gone to become an owner. So that pretty much covers the whole spectrum. Kim, I'll leave anything out?
Yeah, no, otherwise there's it branches out to so many different directions as well. Some guys, sorry, not lots, but some people will go off into safety and take different avenues like that. Otherwise, can move up and become a trainer, become an instructor, take over mine and Wayne's positions eventually. That's where there's always room to move ahead.
All right. You want to talk a little bit about the work-life balance?
Yeah, it's that one is for some people they do better than others, but it is when you're in the field, it's kind of like going to school as a kid. You might have some things when you get home that you think about throughout the day, but for the most part, you can go home, enjoy your evening, and spend time with your family and stuff like that. And it's good. You can have a good balance. Other times where if you're running the job, there might be a little more homework involved. You're planning for your next day and how to execute different plans, and little more time's put in. Take Wayne's job, for instance. Now he's balanced. He does a good job, but there's a lot more that comes and chases him on the weekend too, with questions, that sort of thing. But I don't know your ideas on the work balance, Wayne.
Well, it's the other component too, like, because there will be times where you do spend a lot of time away from home, right? That's another part of the work balance, is that you actually develop relationships with your coworkers around you, other members in the trade, and they become your family too as well. So you develop those relationships as you go along in the trade, and they can be lifetime relationships. I have a lot of friends since the day I started, went to first year school till now. We've been friends the whole time. I've watched their kids grow up. We still talk on the phone, even though we live in different sides of the province, or they may live in a different province. You still have that balance, but we do develop the family system within. And you will find that the camaraderie and the support in the trade is quite high. Like, people will have each other's backs, they'll help each other out. Especially if you're the new guy going to a job that's already established and you have to find a hotel or somewhere to stay. A lot of guys will open up and say, hey, I hear you're looking for a place to stay. Stay with me until you can find something. Help them out, right? Stuff like that. What else can I add for the work-life balance? It's the appearance from the outside looking, it does look like it's a transient lifestyle. It is to some extent. We're not only stuck in this province. So being that it's a red seal trade, you do have your red seal. It's compulsory in Alberta. But what it does is it takes down the borders and takes down those barriers, because once you have that journeyman status or the ability to travel or your mobility, you can work all across Canada, right? Yes, other jurisdictions have different collective agreements, but you can go work in the shipyard in BC. You can go work in Newfoundland on the platforms. You can go to Ontario and work in the nuclear plants. When they have the calls come in and requirements, you can see Canada. If that's something you want to do, you have the opportunity. Another work-life balance is, yes, you're going to work when the jobs are there. But if you came off like a 3-month job on the drag like I did, I took 2 months off on my own accord. I have that ability to. I just don't put my name back on the list. I just tell the office that I'm going to take a couple of months off just to relax and regroup after that long straight stint. But we have that ability to do that. So that's another part of the work-life balance as well. Did I miss anything? Did I trigger any thoughts, Kim?
No, that's all good. Just one of the things you kind of struck there is the camaraderie. Like you said, you do build relationships in this trade. is not only within this trade, but along with other trades that you work beside. And you will become a lot more familiar with a lot more people. It's, it's usually the same group of people going to the same job site, and, you can rely on these people for a ride or a boost in the parking lot. It's brother, sisterhood, whatever you want to call it. It is a big family. So, that's part of it, and it's somewhat rewarding in itself.
One other component I want to add to what the work-life balance is. Spoke about the mobility. So we can cover the province, and our members that have like status, they're Aboriginals and they have status. It's an international union, so they can work across the border in the United States as well. So, and they have the same curriculum and the training program down there, so they can go work in California. I know it sounds lucrative. It's cold here. Why not go to California or go to Florida? And it goes both ways. We had projects where we needed apprentices and journeymen to work on that. Like we completed Canada, and we actually had U.S. ironworkers come up here to work in Saskatchewan, in Alberta. So it goes both ways. But the individuals that have that status, they can work in North America. And like I said, that's another barrier that just got taken down, and all because of the training and what they signed up for. That's what I got.
Thanks, guys. That's awesome. You've given us some food for thought here. A couple of questions, though, that have generated in the office. A lot of the trades have, as a high school student looking at this video, we know that a lot of trades have that pre-employment opportunity through Polytechnic. Ironworkers doesn't have that, right? So a student that wants to get into this has to come in as an apprentice. Is that correct? Has to find that first job and secure that employment. Is that the process?
Yes, we don't have a pre-employment. Well, we've done the one-offs, like the spin-offs. We've done it for reinforcing and structural both, where individuals or groups have contacted us. We've put on the pre-employment classes for them to give them a kickstart into the trade. But basically, yeah, they come in and apply, and we're always looking for apprentices because we need to fill the void. The baby boomers are leaving; they're retiring, and you can't sit back and wait for that gap to fill itself in. It's never going to do it by itself. So we're always looking to recruit. And we understand that, yes, they're coming out of high school. They have a little bit, they have some knowledge of what's going on, but that's where our trainers in-house come into play. They get their safety training up front. We explain to them what the trade is, and they're going to have a little taste of it. But as for pre-employment, no. Do we have the ones that we've done with different entities? Absolutely. And it has been through the reinforcing side and actually 3 sides: structural, reinforcing, and the metal building sector. We've done 3 of them.
Where do you normally advertise for positions? Like if a student was looking for an opportunity for employment, where would they normally go to?
Right now, we do advertise on the radio. It's all over the internet. It's in various places by doing school fairs. Our names are out there. The biggest one that happens is through family, or it's word of mouth. Right. That's how I found about it. I went to welding school. I actually have 2 trades. When I went to welding school, I actually met a member there that was upgrading himself, and he gave me the card. It was by word of mouth. He's like, you need to go talk to this guy. He'll get you into the apprenticeship program, and here I am today, 20-some years later.
Awesome. Thank you. There's another question from the office.
Yeah.
So where is the training, school training take place? At your office?
No, our actual training facility is through Sask Poly out in, it's in Moose Jaw. So everybody in the province, it's only in one location. So everybody in the province, even myself, when I was the first guy to go to that school, is in Moose Jaw. So we all go there. That's where the structure is. That's where the classrooms are. That's where all the cranes are. Everything takes place out there.
Awesome. I'll open it up for anybody else. I'm not sure if Mr. Galetz had a question for you.
No, I didn't. I thought it's very informative. It's one trade I didn't know very much about, so I've learned a lot. Just kind of soaked it in.
Well, just by mentioning the monumental projects, even the bypass around the city, the new bypass, the ironworkers that came through our apprenticeship program, quite a few of them that are new journey persons, put those bridge girders in around the province, or not the province, around the city, around the ring road, and those big piers that you see, the concrete. Our rodmen did all the tying and the rebar inside those as well. So You know, they can drive around the bypass in Regina and say they've had it, they've touched it, they helped build it. And not even people that don't know about the trade or know what it is. No, you do, right? It's the little things you see every day.
So Wayne, how is technology affecting your trade? How is it impacting your trade?
Well, school-wise, I think it's going to be a positive thing, but technology hasn't totally affected us yet because we still have to physically get out there and do our job. Yes, technology has advanced us. I mean, it does make things easier. The cranes are bigger, more capacity. So it adds a safety aspect by technology because you can build more stuff on the ground. It's what we call modular building. So you can build a big vent with a bigger crane that has all the technology in it and lifts, and it tells you exactly what it weighs, what the wind is, the temperature outside is, and you can make bigger lifts. So you're not putting everybody up on the steel because we work outside year round. You know, Kim and I both can attest to working outside in minus 55, 250 feet in the air, sleet. So technology, it hasn't replaced us yet, but it definitely has helped us advance in the trade and keep them guys safe for sure. I have to agree with that 100%.
Well, that's good to hear. I know when I was teaching that I had a few kids go down the route into Ironworkers, but they had family connections. And that's why this video or this presentation is so important and key, is to get that information out to kids, because it's just not on the radar and they don't realize what you folks do. Females in the trade, you're carrying a heavy belt. Are you getting more females interested in the trade?
Yes, absolutely. At one point, we peaked out at 24 young ladies in the trade. And you have to keep in mind, it's not just purely structural or reinforcing. A lot of the young people come to us have welding backgrounds. They've gone to trade school for welding, or they come out of high school with welding experience already, but they're here. And I've actually seen these young ladies, they transferred out, you know, they met somebody, another ironworker, and they moved to Ontario or here, but they have advanced too. I've seen them as foremen, general foremen, and even superintendents. So they're here and they're killing it. Yeah.
That's great news. It's good to hear.
Yep. I have nothing bad to say about them, that's for sure. But they're hard to keep up to, actually.
Right on.
Okay, well, we'll close it out, and thank you very much, gentlemen. And it's very, very informative. I learned a lot myself. So thanks again. Much appreciated.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.